Anthony Yarde's previous scheduled opponent for the undercard of Billy Joe Saunders versus Willie Monroe next Saturday, Ryan Ford, pulled out, and he has now been replaced with a guy called Norbert Nemespati. This guy is from Eastern Europe somewhere. I did briefly look him up on BoxRec. I can't remember exactly which country it is, but I'm sure he's from Eastern Europe somewhere. He's very young, and he's had a lot of fights for a guy who's that young. He's apparently like 22 or something, Nemespati, and he's fought people like Callum Smith, I think he fought. One of the Durrell brothers, I think it was Anthony, not Andre, correct me if I'm wrong there. But he has been stopped a number of times. He has lost a few times. In fact, let me stop being lazy, man. Let me look him up here right when I'm doing the video. Let's look up this guy. All right, let's see his record over here. Norbert Nemespati, right? He's from Hungary, from Budapest in Hungary. He's had how many fights here? He's had 31 fights. He's 22 years old and he's had 31 fights. That's pretty surprising. Maybe he didn't have a long amateur career, I don't know. But to be 22 and have had 31 fights, that's a lot of fights. He's won 25, he's got 18 knockouts, 6 losses, 3 of those losses were by KO. He lost this year already by unanimous decision to a guy called Vincent Feigenbotz, a German fighter. He also lost to Anthony Durrell. Yup, that was also this year. Wow. So he's had 2 losses this year, this guy. Well, it's not looking good already. And then last year, he was stopped by Callum Smith in 6 rounds. I probably saw that fight, but I just can't remember it. Then, prior to losing to Callum Smith, he lost the unanimous decision to Umar Salamov in Grozny. And earlier on in his career, he was stopped by a guy called Schiller Hippolyte. And before that, he lost to a guy called Jason Escalera on points over 8 rounds. So yeah, he's got a number of losses. Really, he's pretty much journeyman status at this stage. I know he's only got 6 losses out of 31 fights, but a lot of these losses have come recently. You know, he's had 4 losses in the past 2 years. No, 2 losses this year so far and 2 losses last year. This is pretty much journeyman state. His record don't look like a straight journeyman record in terms of the numbers, but looking at recent form, he's shaping up to be a journeyman. Now, is this guy better than the previous opponent they had for Anthony Yarde? I mean, it's hard to say. The previous guy was an MMA fighter who was crossing over into boxing, so he wasn't really a proven entity in the sport of boxing. This guy, I would imagine, knows his way around a boxing ring more so than Ryan Ford. But Ryan Ford would have been coming with a certain level of belief and ambition if he'd actually got in the ring. I don't know why he has decided not to get in the ring, but given the fact that he's an MMA guy and whatnot, he would have been coming with a certain amount of belief and ambition, unbeaten, so on and so forth. Maybe he looked at Anthony Yarde's record when he was offered the fight and said, yeah, I'll take that fight. The guy's inexperienced. He ain't had many amateur fights. I'll take that. But then when he looked at Anthony Yarde actually in the ring fighting, he thought, wow, this guy is way more polished than I expected. And you know what? I don't fancy that work. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But yeah, this fight here against Norbert Nemespati, it is a step up for Anthony Yarde, but only because Yarde's opposition has been so terrible. And again, I hate to keep on banging on about Yarde's poor opposition because Anthony Yarde to me is a precocious talent. I've said it many times. I can't wait to see how far Anthony Yarde can actually go because I'm very impressed with his natural ability. And I'm very impressed with how technically good he seems to be with such little experience. But, you know, You and again, I've admitted many times before that Frank Warren is good at managing his fighters towards success. You know, he generally is good at that, at picking the right fights at the right time. But the past few fights, particularly for Anthony Yarde, there has been no competition at all. None. They've just been blowouts, and he's what? 12 fights in now, Anthony Yarde. So this will be his 13th fight. He needs more of a step up as far as I'm concerned. Steel sharpens steel. It's at the point now where Anthony Yarde's going to start to get into bad habits if they don't put him in an actual real fight, you know. And this Norbert Nemespati, it's a late replacement opponent, so you can't expect too much. But at the same time, the guy who they were going to put him in with before, Ryan Ford, that's not really the kind of step up that I had really envisioned. Now, the whole Jose Burton situation, people saying he should have taken the Burton fight, maybe that's too much of a step up. You know, maybe because of Burton's style, he's like 6'4", 6'5", very unusual for a light heavyweight to be that tall. And he's been fighting, you know, boxing a hell of a lot longer than Anthony Yarde. So maybe from a stylistic point of view, they didn't fancy that fight, but they didn't mind the Buglioni fight because Buglioni, a similar height to Anthony Yarde. The point I'm making here is maybe it was right for them from a managerial point of view. Like, forget about what we as fans want to see, but from a managerial point of view, maybe it was right for them to avoid the Jose Burton fight. But maybe take on a guy like Ricky Summers. You know, maybe take on somebody, and apparently they did try and get that fight, but somebody around that type of level would be better than the opponents they've been picking. So, anyway, a little bit convoluted there, people, but hopefully you got the point I was making. Drop your comments in the comment section below and let me know how you feel. It's happening, I'm out.